It's 9:20. Means it's 4:20 somewhere. If you got one, spark up. All right. Back to the journey that is George Carlin's audiobook, When Will Jesus Bring the Pork Chops? I just got switched to a new 11-hour schedule instead of my 10-hour one, so I'm having to get up extra early now. So I may break these segments down into like 10 to 15 minutes instead of the 20 plus I was doing. But let's get to it.
Here's a safety tip from the American Eye Association. Never jab a knitting needle directly into your eye and repeatedly thrust it in and out. You could be inviting vision problems. If you should suffer an eye injury, rinse the eye immediately with a caustic solution of Clorox and ammonia, and rub the surface of the eye vigorously for about 10 minutes with number 3 sandpaper. The American Eye Association reminds you, don't fuck around with your eyes. They're the key to vision. Do you ever get lip crud? That sticky film that sometimes forms on your lip, especially the lower lip? It's kind of a gooey crud that builds up, and when it dries, it turns into a gummy, crusty coating. Thicker at the corners of the mouth, but thinning out as it works its way down toward the center of the lip. And when it's really bad, the corners of your mouth look like parentheses. Do you ever get that? Lip crud?
I don't get
Well,
that
here's how you get rid of it. It's a simple, low-tech operation, and it requires just a single tool, the thumbnail. That's all you need. You scrape the crud off with your thumbnail. You just scrape it on down, and you keep on scraping. Don't worry about those people watching from the bus stop. If they knew anything, they wouldn't be riding the bus. You scrape it on down, you scrape it on down, and finally, when it's all off, you take it and roll it up into a little ball, and then you save that son of a bitch. That's my practice, folks. I save it. Personally, I'm a lip crud buff. In fact, I save everything I remove from my body. Don't you? At least for a little while. Don't you look at things when they first come off of you? Study them? Aren't you curious? Don't you spend a few minutes looking at something, trying to figure out what it is and what it's doing on you in the first place? Sure you do. You don't just pull some growth off your neck and throw it in the trash. You study it. You want to know what it is. Besides, you never know when you're going to need parts. Isn't that true? You ever see these guys on TV? They're in the hospital. One guy's waiting for a kidney, another guy's waiting for a lung. Fuck that shit. I've got parts at home. I have a freezer full of viable organs. 2 of everything, ready to go. What do you need, a spleen? An esophagus? How about a nice used ball bag, huh? Come on. Caucasian ball bag, 1 owner, good condition. He only scratched it on Sundays. Come on, folks, take a chance. I've got everything you need. But regardless of your need for parts, the larger point is true. Most people study the things they pick off their bodies before they throw them away. Because you want to know what something is. You don't want to spend 15 minutes peeling a malignant tumor off your forehead just to toss it out the window sight unseen into the neighbor's swimming pool. No! You want to take a good long look at it. You may even want to share the experience. Holy shit, honey, look at this thing. Holy jumping fucking Jesus. Look at this. Hey, honey, come in here. Honey, come in here, goddammit. Fuck the rice-a-roni. Get your ass in here. Look at this thing. Ain't it something? Guess where I got it?
That kind of reminded me of that, I don't remember the name of the episode. It's the one where, South Park episode where, I mean, Randy does it all the time. When he does, hey Sharon, come look at this. The one most famous, the best one, like, cause it was something disgusting, was when he took his monster shit. The one that broke Bono's record. But anyways, let's go.
A minute ago, it was part of my head. Not anymore. I pried the bastard off with paint thinner and a Phillips head screwdriver. But But look at it, honey. Look at the colors. It's green, blue, yellow, orange, brown, tan, khaki, beige, bronze, olive, neutral, black, off black, champagne gold, Navajo white, turquoise, and Band-Aid color. Plus, get this, it's exactly the same shape as Iraq. That is, if you leave out that northern section where the Kurds live. I'm not throwing this bastard away. It might become a collectible. Dial up those dickheads on eBay. We can make some fucking money on this thing. It annoys me when people complain about athletes taking steroids to improve athletic performance. It's a phony argument because over the years, every single piece of sports equipment used by athletes has been improved many times over. Golf balls and clubs, tennis balls, rackets, baseball gloves and bats, football pads and helmets, and so on through every sport. Each time technology has found a way to improve equipment, it has done so. So why shouldn't a person treat his body the same way? In the context of sports, the body is nothing more than one more piece of equipment anyway, so why not improve it with new technology? Athletes use weights. Why shouldn't they use chemicals?
I never looked at it from that perspective. It does create an interesting perspective behind it.
Consider the Greek Phidippides, a professional runner who in 490 BC ran from Athens to Sparta and back, 280 miles, to ask the Spartans for help against the Persians in an impending battle that threatened Athens. Don't you think his generals would have been happy to give him amphetamines if they had been available? And a nice pair of New Balance high-performance running shoes while they were at it? Grow up, purists. The body is not a sacred vessel. It's a tool. I don't care for athletes who point to the sky after they've accomplished something on the field. Even worse are the ones who kneel down, bow their heads, and make a big show of being believers. You know something? God doesn't like that shit. He's not impressed with spiritual grandstanding. It embarrasses him. He says, get up, you phony show-off bullshit artist, and pay attention to the fucking game. I took the points. Imagine the conceit of these people who think God is helping them and is looking for their acknowledgement. I say, play now, pray later.
Hold up. Alright, it's 9:20. Means it's 4:20 somewhere. If you got one, spark up. Alright, so if you've made it this far, you saw that the last segment I was doing ended abruptly. I heard the door open, someone coming in at the house, and usually my roommate doesn't get off till much later, so it took me by surprise. I thought a fucking tweaker had popped the lock or some shit. They do be around here, so. But it turned out to just be my roommate and her son, which meant I wasn't gonna get no quiet time to be able to finish my video. So I'm just tagging it on to here. And this is kind of gonna be an extended part, if you will. Alright, let's get back to it.
God is helping them and is looking for their acknowledgement. I say, play now, pray later. Attitude check. Let's straighten out this whole attitude thing. Someone on TV said the sports anchor guys on ESPN have a lot of attitude. Let me tell you something. What these guys have is not attitude. Here's attitude. One day when I was about 18, I was standing at the bar in the Moreland Tavern with a couple of guys from my New York neighborhood. The Moreland had big windows, so if you were standing by the bar, you could easily see the people walking by on Broadway. One of the guys in our group was a little older than the rest of us, an ex-convict named John Cooney. All of a sudden, in the middle of the conversation, he looked out the window and saw someone walking past. He reached behind the bar for the baseball bat, the one the bartenders used for settling sports and political arguments, and he went outside, walked up to the guy on the sidewalk, and just started smashing him with the baseball bat. The guy fell down. John walked back into the bar and put the bat away. He said, "The guy owes me money." That's attitude. The guys on ESPN don't have that. What they have is a kind of smart-mouth white boy college mentality. They're snotty, superficial white guys. Even the black anchors on ESPN are nothing more than snotty white guys. Snotty is not attitude. Snotty is just bad manners, and it's boring. John Cooney knew attitude. He also knew more about how to swing a bat than any of those blow-dried, never-were athletes sitting safely behind their fruity little desks. 25 years ago, two lovely girls in San Carlos, California, were kind enough to perform this following football cheer for me. And in 1984, I used it on an HBO show. I'm passing it along now and would like to point out that it's actually quite useful at sporting events of any kind. In fact, I've found it to be a big crowd pleaser at weddings, baptisms, and first communions as well. Here it is. Chant this in good health. Rat shit, bat shit, dirty old twat. 69 assholes tied in a knot. Hooray! Lizard shit, fuck! Let's go over that again, this time with a few comments. Rat shit, bat shit. How nice to begin with a reference to nature. Dirty old twat. A perfectly normal sports reference as far as I'm concerned. 69 assholes tied in a knot. No, I don't know what that means either. Hooray! There's the cheer part. Lizard shit. Back to nature once again. Fuck! And we end on an uplifting note. Now, here's the happy postscript. About 10 years later, I met a guy named Michael who gave me the second verse to the cheer. I hope those San Carlos girls will hear this and accept it as my way of saying thanks. Eat, bite, fuck, suck, nibble, gobble, chew. Finger fuck, hair pie, dick, cunt, screw. Hooray! Bat fuck, blow me. Let's go over that again. Eat, bite, fuck, suck. Once again, off to an excellent start. Nibble, gobble, chew. I notice verbs are more prominent this time. Finger fuck, hair pie, dick, cunt, screw. More good sports references. Hooray! Can't have a cheer without it. Bat fuck. Truly an interesting thought. Blow me. Once again, ending on an uplifting note. Cheers. Never buy two different garments of the same type at the same time, such as two sports shirts. Inevitably, you will like one better than the other, and you will choose to wear it every time. The second one will always remain second choice, and it will stay in the closet, coming out only occasionally when you hold it in front of you at arm's length and decide not to wear it. Here's how you handle this problem. Exercise a little discipline at the store and buy just one shirt. Then, if you like it, wait a month and buy another. That's it. Next, I'm going to work on nuclear proliferation. Another area of speech that could benefit from a bit more realism would be those announcements that are made just before a boxing match. Ladies and gentlemen, the main event of the evening, 12 rounds of heavyweight boxing. In this corner from Cornhole, Mississippi, weighing 200 pounds and wearing soiled white trunks, an utter and complete loser who is wanted in 6 states for crimes against the animal kingdom. Considered a complete scumbag by his family, he once fucked his sister at a church picnic and forced her to walk home alone. Also, on at least 4 occasions, he has taken out his dick at the circus and waved it at the trapeze lady. Here is Henry Gonzalez. In the other corner, wearing a pair of lame, out-of-style zebra skin shorts that he found on the street, from Sweatband, Arkansas, an unattractive and disturbed young man who by court order is not permitted to be alone for more than 2 minutes at a time. In and out of 16 mental institutions over the years, he is a dangerous sociopath who once killed a nun for blocking his view. He has been legally barred from more than 1,500 bars in the New York City area alone, and recently, while visiting a supermarket, he forced a fat woman to blow him in the meat section. Here is Matty Murphy. The fighters move out to the center of the ring to have the boxing rules recited to them. All right, boys, you know the rules. No biting, scratching, clawing, or tripping. No yanking dicks. No grabbing the other guy's testicles and snapping them up and down. No using a small screwdriver to punch holes in the other guy's neck during clinches. And if you're going to call the other guy's mother a diseased $2 whore, please, in the interest of accuracy, use her full name. When taking leave of one another, we often say, "Be well." Perhaps we should be more precise and a bit more practical. Reasonably, we can't expect everyone to be healthy all the time. Good wishes should be more realistic. I hope you remain reasonably healthy during the next 18 months or so, and if you have a stroke, I hope it only paralyzes you on one side, leaving you free to take phone calls. I think people would appreciate such thoughtfulness and precision. We Americans love our prepositional phrases. Out of sight, off the charts, in the groove, on the ball, up the creek, down the tubes, in the dumper, out the yin-yang, off the wall, round the bend, below the belt, under the weather, and of course, under the table. But rather than under the table, let us begin on the table. That's a phrase you hear a lot in the news, especially from Washington. In negotiations of any kind, certain things are said to be on the table, implying, of course, that other things are off the table. And sometimes, regardless of what's on the table, a settlement is reached under the table. The table seems important. If a person is highly qualified, we say he brings a lot to the table. Unfortunately, those who bring a lot to the table often have too much on their plates. Still, they're guaranteed a seat at the table, because they think outside the box, which puts them ahead of the curve. Now, if the negotiators agree on what's on the table, then they're on the same page. Personally, I don't like people on my page. If someone says to me, "We're on the same page," I say, "Do me a favor, please, turn the page. I'd rather not be on that page. In fact, I'd rather be in a completely different book." But that's beside the point. I've wandered off the track. Returning to negotiations, if the sides are getting close, we're told they're in the ballpark. This often comes from people in the know, speaking off the record. And in Washington, many in the know are also in the loop, because after all, they work inside the Beltway. Now, there are other government people outside the Beltway who nonetheless remain in the know and in the loop. They function in foreign countries, and we say they're on the ground. If they're CIA, they're under the radar and paid off the books. Much of what they learn is picked up on the street. But they don't always need to be on the street, because a lot of information comes in over the transom. Putting aside government for the moment, I wonder if you're aware that a completely different group of people has recently emerged in America. They're not on the ground, and they're not on the street. You know where they are? They're in the house. Apparently, they never went out. And there must be a lot of them, because you hear it all the time. He's in the house. And if I may broach a delicate subject here, some of these people who are in the house are also in the closet. Fortunately for them, if they somehow manage to get out of the closet, they'll still be in the house. That is, they will be until they've left the building. How often these days we hear that someone has left the building? And I'm sure you've noticed it's mostly show business people who leave buildings. The accepted belief being that Elvis was the first to master this maneuver, although you can also find Beatles fans who will argue that the Fab Four were known to have left several buildings as well, thereby accomplishing what would have been the first multi-star building departures. Unfortunately, at the time, no one realized the significance of what the Beatles were doing. Now, there are no doubt those among you who are seething, because "has left the building" is not a prepositional phrase. I grant that, but you'd have to agree that nonetheless it fits here very nicely. Because after all, only people who are in the house can leave the building. But alas, it's impossible to leave the building if you're still in the closet. In fact, you can't even get to the front door. However, let's say everything breaks your way and somehow you manage to leave the building. Guess where you'll be? Right, back on the street with the CIA. So you better be on your toes, because the CIA will get on your case and they'll be in your face. Who knows, they might even go upside your head. I'm sorry, folks. This is really getting off the wall, so let's return to where this whole thing began, under the table, where those shady deals are made. And isn't it interesting that under the table is similar to under the counter, where illegal products are sold? Under the counter, as opposed, of course, to over the counter, which describes a drug that does not require a prescription. But when you think about it, even drugs that require a prescription are sold over the counter. I mean, the pharmacist doesn't somehow give them to you underneath the counter. You don't get them by going around behind the counter. What happens is you stand at the counter, pay the man, and he hands them to you across the counter. Or he sets them down on the counter, and you pick them up off the counter. Or if you want, you can completely eliminate the counter by having the drugs delivered to your home. Provided, of course, that at the time, you're in the house. Well, folks, it turns out that one of the phrases I used at the beginning of this piece was more appropriate than I suspected at the time. It's clear to me now that in the dumper is exactly where this piece has wound up. So that's it. I'm out the door.
So that was... I think that's a good one to end it on. He really flexes his linguistic skills in this one. But yeah, George Carlin went with Jesus Bring the Pork Chops. Probably do another one tomorrow. I have a whole playlist of previous segments. Down to another hour and 35 minutes left. Hour and 35 minutes left. So probably have it done in the next couple weeks. Other than that, y'all have a nice night. Thanks for watching. Stay blazing.